So, introductions. Um, Thank you so much for meeting with me. I really mean it. It means a lot to me to be supported and for you to be here talking with me, especially after the release of The Refugee, which we are definitely going to get into talking about. So, today I am sitting here with director, producer, actor, writer Johnny Greenlaw, and I can't wait to get into this. Let me get right into it.
Let's do it.
All right, I want to start with an easy question just to kind of feel you out a little bit. What are you listening to right now? Like what were you listening to in your car on the way here?
Well, thank you for having me here,
Okay,
Gabby. I
yes.
appreciate it, and it's nice to be here. And
Thank you.
I listen to there's a station called The Bridge on Sirius satellite radio. So I listen to Sirius satellite radio in the car, and The Bridge, and it has artists like Cat Stevens, Jackson Brown, Carly Simon, Stevie Nicks. It's like 70s and 80s rockish.
Okay.
Simon and Garfunkel, and I've been just enjoying that lately. And then if I really feel like reminiscing, I'll put on my 80s station, some 90s. Um, yeah, I've been kind of like locked in the past with music, just digging the older stuff, and that's what I've been listening to.
Yeah.
Some 70s, some rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I'm home cooking,
Oh,
I put
cooking.
on the jazz, my jazz, and I listen to some jazz, some like mellow jazz,
Yes.
not that uppity up
It
jazz.
makes the food taste
It
better. It
does,
all
yeah, yeah.
sinks in.
I put
Absolutely.
it on. It kind of mellows everybody out,
Mhm.
the kids and everybody, and so yeah, so that's what I've been listening to lately, um, and really enjoying that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet your family knows it's time to eat when they hear that music coming on. They like dad's cooking
Oh
something.
yeah. Oh yeah. I get the stove on and the music going and
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Well, what do you like to cook? Would you say you're a good cook and what do you like to cook? Or tell me one dish that like this is what I will cook for someone.
I I don't really do any crazy exotic dishes, but I cook all like the meats in the house. So, I'll cook chicken, rub chicken, with
Oh,
some nice
nice.
rosemary and thyme on the chicken. Um, I'll do the steaks, with just a little salt and pepper on there.
Okay.
So I'll do the meats, but there's no like crazy exotic dish that I do. Just some steamed vegetables. I try to eat as good and clean as I can. I know we were talking about the water as well.
Yes.
Um, Try to keep it, as clean as I can. So nothing crazy, but my wife makes a nice lasagna,
Oh, nice.
really nice
I had some
lasagna.
good lasagna this
Yeah,
weekend. Yeah.
yeah. So
Nice. Okay. All right. Well, like you said, we were talking about the water. So
we were.
before we started all of this, we got into a conversation about water because Johnny came in, and last time I seen him, he came in and he was kind of carrying this bottle. I'm like, okay, Johnny is popping bottles at the premiere, which I'm getting to the refugee. But you came in carrying this bottle, and it was your water
Yeah,
because you really try to pay attention to what you're putting into your body,
I
what
do.
type of water you're putting into your body. My take on it is that there's so much competition. Everybody has a brand of water now. So I think that water brands are like, well, what are you actually drinking? Making you think more about what you're buying. Don't just buy water because you want it or you need it. Buy the right water so that you can be putting the right things in your water. So
Yeah,
the
I mean, I try to buy something in glass because we were
okay,
talking about the plastics,
yeah.
especially here in Florida, is sometimes the plastics leach into the water, and
Hmm.
so there's enough of that. We're trying to stay away from that. We can only do the
Absolutely.
best we can do. Obviously, if you have to drink that, you do. And then spring water is good with some minerals and things in it.
Hmm.
I'll even like Pellegrino or a Perrier,
Yes.
sparkling water in a glass bottle with that has some minerals in it as well. That's
Yeah.
what I'll try to do. But yeah, there are so many different waters out there. I mean, I guess you really should just try to watch. People don't check labels.
That's right.
I do. I check the label on everything.
That's
Everything I
right.
eat, all the food I get. I mean, I try to eat a natural diet with pure water, but we said, it's hard out there, especially lunchtime if you're out and about.
Moving fast.
There's Chick-fil-A right there, and you're like, I shouldn't do it, but maybe
Yeah,
just this one time.
I know. I heard some things too. But you know what? We're learning all of this. Like as we grow, as we get older, we're learning.
Yeah,
So it's like nobody told us to check and
Oh
read
yeah.
everything. We were
Oh
just
no. My
doing what we
parents
had
were
to
just like,
do.
here's what it is, and yeah,
Yeah,
just eat that. It was
that's
like,
right.
what is red dye number 22? I don't know.
That's
It can't be
right.
good for you.
Yep. And the more you know, the better you do,
There's a thing now with the kids with the red dye where like certain kids it affects them and it kind of makes them go nuts.
Oh God, not the
Yeah,
kids. Not the
yeah,
kid. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. There's like red
That's
dye made in
horrible.
some lab, and they're like it's like some big pop, and it's yeah,
That's
yeah. Check that
horrible.
out. Research that, parents.
Yeah. Oh my
Don't
goodness.
give your kid the red dye.
Oh, the red dye.
Yeah.
Now you heard it here. Do not mess with the red
Yes,
dyes,
that's right.
okay?
Stay away from the
So,
red dye.
so I was trying to wait, but I want to talk about the refugee.
Okay,
Okay,
let's do it.
the refugee is your newest film,
Mm,
full feature film,
yeah,
and it premiered on May 19th, right? Here in Orlando
yeah,
at the Orlando International Film Festival.
yes.
So I was there, and the room was full of energy and just vibrating at the right frequency, if you get what I'm
It
saying.
was amazing.
It
Yeah,
was really
yeah. I
good.
love that.
The cast and the crew, and I have some pictures that I'll plug in right here. But the cast and the crew showing up, everybody, you could tell that they knew they were a part of something really great. And I think that that's what makes film festivals just amazing, because the people are there because they know you about to witness
Yeah.
greatness, and that's exactly what
No,
happened.
I love it. And like nowadays, we watch movies on Netflix and
Yeah,
in our home by ourselves sometimes or with someone, but on a
yeah,
screen that's not as big. And to me, like the movie experience was always in the theater. And so, and you have everyone's attention,
yeah,
right? And so the energy in the room and all the people there. To me, that's why I got into filmmaking. I always loved going to the movies, being in the theater, and so
yeah.
to have that experience was amazing. To have everyone, the cast and crew, back together was great. It was our first screening together, and so
Yes.
it was appropriate to have our premiere here in Orlando, being that we
Hmm.
shot the film in Orlando. The cast and crew is all local to
Yeah,
Orlando,
yeah.
and so it was definitely a special night and something I won't forget. And it was good, as you saw when we all came up. It takes so many people
It
to make a
does.
movie,
It does.
and I really love to see everyone coming together like that.
Yeah.
It was really nice,
Now you
very
had
special.
some of your crew or a close friend that was with you, and he was from New York. You mentioned him, that the two of you started working on this. I guess during the pandemic. Is that
Yeah,
right?
before it, even before
Before
it. So
that.
the original intention for this film was I was living in New York at the time. I'm from New York,
Hmm.
and his name is Kelly, and
Okay.
he's a producer on 3 of my films, and we have a great working relationship. We became good friends. He lives in New York City, and yeah, so it was great that he came down for this
Yeah,
screening. It was I was happy that he came down for it.
that's special.
It was great to see him and for him to be a part of it. So yeah, so he's great, and he also played a role in the film. He was Reggie Gates. He's a good actor as well,
Hmm. Hmm.
and he and I are working on a new one coming up as well. So we have
Yeah.
another one that we want to shoot down here in Orlando. But yeah, I started working on that. I wrote the screenplay for that before the pandemic. We had the intention of shooting it in New York City, in New York,
Okay.
and then the pandemic happened, and we were location scouting. We found locations, we found the theater, and paid some producers, and we were going. And then that was February 2020, right? And then March
Mm.
2020.
Hmm.
And so it all kind of came crashing down. And then
Yeah.
New York didn't reopen for like 2 years with film.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to work, and so my family was up for it, and we wanted to change. And so we moved down to Orlando, Florida,
Okay.
and we live down here now, and it's been amazing. Like we're loving it, and it's been
Absolutely.
great. And so then reshift and have to find a cast and crew down here, and I didn't know too many people.
Now, how did you do that?
Yeah, so
How?
I pointed out a gentleman in the audience. His name is Michael Armstrong, and our daughters were in kindergarten together, and we were talking at some school event, and he said he was asking me what I do, and I told him, and he said, "Oh, I know this producer. She's really great. Her name is Alexandra.
Hmm.
You should meet her." And the 3 of us met, and her and I we hit it off,
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to leave you to it, you know. And from there, she read the script. She loved it. She said, I'm in. I'll do
Yeah.
whatever you need. Let's do it. And she was instrumental in casting. I mean, she sent just about everyone my way. She said, here, Johnny, here's this person, here's this person. And, you know, so she'd send me a few people for each role. I would do Zoom calls with those people, and then was able to cast that way. And
Very
yeah,
nice.
she was amazing. She was the casting director. Couldn't have done all that without her. She was
Yeah.
amazing, and she introduced me to everyone else, Nilda and Joseph O'Connor, and and our editor Peter. Like she was just like, you got to talk to him, you got to talk to
Uh-huh.
her, you got to meet to Dina who played the lead. So yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
can't say enough good things about her. She's amazing and fully committed. Like everybody in the project was fully committed. That's another thing.
Yeah.
You know, the actors, like everyone, I like to meet individually with each actor before we get into production. So during the pre-production phase, I'll meet individually with each actor. I met with Chuck and Dina as well because you know they were playing Vince and Eva, and so I wanted
Hmm.
to have a meeting with them together as well. And we go over every aspect of the character,
Yeah.
go do some backstory work on the characters, speak about their intentions and you know what their motivations are,
Hmm.
and we get all that worked out before we even step on set. And so
Absolutely.
they have their notes, you know, I have my notes. We're on the same page, and this way, especially when you're shooting an indie like this, where you're trying to get a lot of pages done every day,
Yeah.
you know, it can't be like, let's stop and talk for
Hmm.
an hour about what your intentions are in this scene.
Yeah.
We already know, and
Yeah.
so that work, it's key. Pre-production. That's something that gets overlooked a lot
Yeah.
with indie filmmakers. They just think, hey, we know we're doing this, and they just show up on set, and it's like,
Mm.
where do you want to put the camera? You know,
That's
like
right.
that's all mapped out. We have diagrams drawn of where we know where we're going to put the cameras. And that I did with Joe O'Connor, our head of production. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, that you could tell that the team was really strong there. I think in here in Orlando or in Central Florida, um, we know who these people are. When I started seeing the people show up, I was like,
Familiar faces. Yeah.
and we know that you think it's a lot of people, but we know who's doing what.
Yeah.
And when I seen Alexandra Balda there, I was like, now I can see how he pulled it off. I
Yeah.
know where all of this energy came
Yeah.
from. When you mentioned Nilda, I know exactly. Nilda is here with us today, and she has been really instrumental in making this Actors Talk happen.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for that, having people that are like godsends, you
Yeah.
know, and things just really, really work.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm here today because of
yeah,
you and Nilda,
yeah,
and we're just getting to know each other. And I'm meeting you. I met you at the festival,
yeah.
but you know, Nilda reached out and told me about this, and because it was Nilda, I said, I'm in. Sure, I'll come do it for you,
Ain't
Nilda.
that amazing?
Yeah. So
That's
that's what
amazing.
the power of Nilda.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And
Yeah,
I
and,
think
and now that
everybody
I know
knows
you,
that
I'll come for
power.
you too. But you know,
That's
I didn't know
amazing.
you, and
That's amazing.
yeah,
Well, thank you.
yeah,
Thank you. It's nice making new friends.
yes.
So before the refugee, you won a major award, a grand award, might I say. But I want you to tell me a little bit about that. But before, I want to read the storyline.
Okay.
Okay, it says while searching for the U.S. soldier who saved her life, Eva, a refugee from Iraq, discovers her own American dream.
Yeah,
Okay, so for the Orlando International Film Festival, you won a big award, a major award, among many others, um, for your film.
yeah.
So, what was that award?
It was the we won the best feature film award,
Okay,
so which I think is the top honor, and it's a great honor.
yeah,
We're appreciative of that. So yeah, that was the award we won, and
yeah.
I'm very thankful for that. Yeah,
Absolutely. And then you went on years before that. You also won the best film for the New York Film
yeah.
Festival. Is that right?
I shot a documentary called Finding Francis that won uh, Best Documentary at the New York Film Festival. And
Yes.
then I made a film called Mommy's Box, which won uh, Best Feature Film at the Manhattan Film Festival in New York
Manhattan
City.
Film Festival.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so my last three films have done well, and thank God. And but you know, we put a lot of work into them, and you know, I just for me the biggest thing I hope that it connects to an audience, and
Yeah.
resonates, and makes you think about something, maybe about yourself, about other people in a
Yeah.
positive way. And those are the types of films I like to make, and with a little message about positivity, love, healing.
Yes.
And I hope that translates and comes through. I get a lot of good feedback from people, and movies are subjective. Some people will like them, and some people might not, and that's okay. But I hope that I can connect to some people
Yeah.
with the work that I do.
Well, finding Francis, how did you connect to Francis? Did you know him prior to this documentary?
Crazy story. So I I met Francis, who I call Cheech,
Okay.
is his like nickname,
Yeah.
right? And he's from New York City originally. I lived in LA for a few years
Okay.
while I was working, and on some film projects. And my good friend Barry, who lives in LA, he introduced me to Cheech, to Francis. And Cheech is a pizza maker. He makes pizza. He's from New York. He was making pizza on movie sets in Los Angeles, right? So like,
Okay.
so he always talks about on the original Iron Man movie, Robert Downey Jr. takes the pizza and eats it, and that's his pizza, right? And so he always tells me about that, right? He would always
Nice.
tell me about that.
Nice.
And so Cheech would show up to set on these big movie sets. Iron Man was one of them, and he'd put up his tents and he'd bring pizza ovens, portable pizza ovens. He had his dough, and he'd make his pizza on set. It was part of the food for the crew.
Yeah.
And so he'd come in as a specialty and make the pizzas. And so he became good friends with Jon Favreau and a lot of big time Hollywood people. And so he opened a pizzeria in Burbank, California. And then he got cancer, and it was prostate cancer. And he caught it too late, and it was terminal. And so the doctors in LA couldn't help him at that point. So he called me up. I was now living back in New York City. And he said, "Hey, Johnny, I'm coming to New York to go to Sloan Kettering. It's my last bout. Like, I don't know, this is my last shot.
Yeah.
And do you want to just do something, shoot something or follow me around?" And I said, "Well, let's talk about it, and let's see if we could find, something to make a good, a good movie, a good
Yeah.
story." And so we spoke about helping people, spreading awareness about prostate cancer. And then he wanted to paint in Central Park, and he wanted to raise awareness, and he wanted to help other artists for nothing in return. Essentially, the good karma, pay it forward type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And so I was all about that as well. And so I said, let's do it. And so I got my camera, and I was living on Long Island at the time. And so I'd hop on the Long Island Railroad. It was an hour train ride into the city. And so for a long summer, for about 4 or 5 months, 2 days a week, I'd go into the city. I'd come up out of Penn Station. He'd meet me there, and he was ready to go. I had my
Mm-hmm.
camera ready. And we said, let's go. And we would just walk looking for people to help in a very natural, organic
Mm.
way.
Yeah.
And it's amazing when you open yourself up like that. So that film changed my life.
Yeah.
Like, when you open yourself up to people that way, it comes to you, right? And
Yeah.
so, like, because in New York City, we walk like this. Like, you don't want to make eye contact with people. You don't know who you're making eye contact with. So everyone just like, it's like ants marching, and you're just getting to where you're getting, and nobody's connecting.
Yeah.
And so I'm just behind him with the camera, and he's open, and it was just like a moth to the flame. People were just coming to him, and
Yeah.
it was pretty impressive. And so some of the things that I saw was just him helping a homeless person, him helping that musician, the guy who played on the street, who didn't realize he had a heart problem. He helped
Yeah.
get him into the hospital and save the guy's life. Pretty
Yeah.
crazy story. And so then I was in the doctor's office with Cheech, and we were sitting there, and he was getting his checkup. And he said, "Doc, can you help me? What can you do for me?" And then the doctor looked at me, and he's like, "Could you just turn the camera off?" And so I turned the camera off. And yeah, they told him that it's like maybe you have a year to live, and
Yeah.
there's nothing really we can do to help you. And so being in a room with someone, a friend, where they're telling you, this is it, um, struck me, like a
Yeah.
lightning bolt. And so like that night, I got on the train, went home, I was crying. I was like, um, and so it's still emotional to me, as you can
Yeah.
see, but because it was just such a powerful moment,
Yeah.
amazing, and it made me appreciate life and more, and what we have, and we're only here for a short time,
Yeah.
And so it was life changing for me. And so that moving forward, that film gave me the impetus because that film made its way to Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
He saw it and he called up my friend Mike, who he knew personally, and Mike said, "Oh, Martin Scorsese called and he wants to send the film to HBO." And he loved it and he loved the way you shot it. I shot it
Yeah.
and so after hearing that, like all the doubt left me as far as like, can I do this? Can I be a filmmaker? Can I do this? And from there on, I have been fully into it, and I've given my life to it, and I love doing it. And so that's the Finding Francis story. Sorry
Yeah.
if it was long-winded,
No, no, that it
but
deserves it. It
yeah,
deserves it.
it's very special to me, and I put all that same energy into everything I do moving forward.
Yeah. Well, that can be a really healing experience. Like you said, you knew that you could do it at
Yeah,
that point. And then all of the accolades that came along with it and the recognition that came along with it was like, I can really do this. And I'm
yeah,
sure that even though it was Francis' last days, you changed his life as well. I hope he got to tell you, I'm sorry, did
he
was what? Okay.
he did.
Okay. So you got to share those last moments with him, and only God knows why you were there, why you were present, why you were able to see these changes. I think that that was really a part of the fabric of who you are as a filmmaker, and that continues to carry. Watching The Mommy's Box, another one of your great films where you actually led that film.
Yep.
I want to hear about that experience because that is not an easy thing to do. And the movie still was amazing.
Thank you.
And you got accolades for it.
Yeah.
And it's still alive. People are still watching it.
Yes,
I
it's
watched that
doing
movie
well.
on Amazon
Yeah,
Prime.
it's
It
on
was really
Prime and
good. Yeah.
it's still doing well on Amazon Prime. So
Yeah.
people are watching it. Yeah.
So, was that your personal story? And how did you, or not and, or how did you develop your character? How did you
So I'll say this.
do the
I mean,
work?
I was definitely inspired by my own life, and I took that and fictionalized it, right? So
Yes.
like, it isn't like a beat by beat my story. I wanted to make it into a movie, so I did, and so. But I was inspired by some of the things in my own life, but I wanted to tell a story about these two brothers. I have a brother, and the relationship with their mother, and how young boys can, and I'm sure young girls too, but from my perspective, was put your mother on a pedestal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't look at her or realize that she is another human being with
Mm-hmm.
feelings and her own emotions and what she's going through, and so we only have these certain expectations of our mother. And so with that story, I wanted to show that the mother was a person too, dealing with her own things and her own demons and her own feelings and emotions, right? And so in that story, she lost her husband. My dad is alive and well, and I'm happy to say, but
Yeah.
I wanted to give her something that she can, kind of give her something to deal with that was very heavy,
Yeah.
and something that the kids had to deal with, and so it's many families deal with this traumatic events in the family, and
Absolutely.
and how the mother has to respond and channel certain things into the children, right? To keep the children's spirits up, because it's easy to get pulled down into the dark side of things. Um, so yeah, so that was the inspiration behind that, and just wanting to show the relationship between the mother and the child, and kind of humanize the mom,
Yeah.
and then in the end, it's about realizing that and healing that, right?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that it takes us so long to realize that and to heal from that. It
Mm-hmm.
would be nice if we can get to the child as a child,
Yeah.
but a lot of the times kids are just pushed to the side or not spoken to or not told what's going on. Like
Yeah.
kids sometimes don't even know what's going on.
Can't even process
And
it.
yeah, and so they know something's wrong, but but the parents don't even tell them what's going on. You know, it's like, oh, don't worry about it, you're young, you don't know. So I don't know. I think there are many things going on there, which is talk to your kids,
Yeah,
um, tell them what's going on in a certain
definitely.
way, and then also the relationship with the parent is they're human too, you know, and they have feelings too, and so I think if a kid can relate to a parent that way and see them that way, it's a tough relationship, the parent and the child.
Yeah,
It could be a tough relationship.
yeah. Oh, well, I'm a mother, and so I can relate to that. The things that you're saying, even going through my own journey, my kids are on this journey with me. They're a big part of it. So the best thing I try to do is just I try to be honest. I try to
Yeah,
keep it real.
yeah,
Always say to them, if your mama don't tell you, nobody won't tell you,
yeah,
so that they know there are certain things that I need to say because nobody else is gonna tell you and keep it real with you
yeah,
like I am going to.
yeah,
And I think that in their life with their children, it's going to help them as well.
yeah. Well,
Um,
there are always expectations, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, we expect the kids
yeah,
to do this, the kids expect parents to do this.
yes,
I think the biggest thing is communication. Talk
yes.
to them, teach them, even if they don't want to be taught. You know, it's like we're always talking to the kids, right? And it's just, they don't. It's almost like they don't want to hear it from us.
Oh gosh.
So we hope. I hope 10% gets through.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day,
Yeah,
love, right? I mean, I think the kids need
absolutely.
love, and so if you could just show them love and they're wanted as well, and they're appreciated in some way, I think that is important for the
Absolutely.
kids. Yeah.
That's very good. Very good. I want to talk to you about your process as an actor in that film.
Okay.
So, for other actors that may be watching, how did you do it? How did you develop your character? I know you wrote it, right?
Yeah.
So, that was a
So I was
big part
close to
of
the
it.
material,
You were
right?
very close to it. But from day to day, being on set, how did you show up on camera, and still were able to manage the other side behind the camera? So, what was your process like?
Once again, pre-production,
Pre-production.
pre-production. So if you are prepared
Yeah,
and you have your notes and your book and you have your shots already set and your shot list,
yeah,
so the director part is good, and there are always going to be things that come up. I worked with the actors beforehand, so once again, we were good there.
yeah.
And then as an actor, I, you know, I had done, I want to say, 4 plays in a row leading up to that in New York City. So I was acting in 4 plays in a row. And so my acting muscles
Oh, I just processed that.
my
Okay. Yeah.
acting muscles were sharp.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I could have stepped into the Refugee and done the same thing, because originally that Vince character, you know, I originally was thinking, hey, maybe I could play that character, and Chuck Fusca played it
Yeah.
wonderfully, and I'm happy that he did, and
He
and
did.
it was perfect.
Yeah.
It was not for me, but originally my thought was write it and do it, and I haven't really done many performances or plays in that time, so
Hmm.
my acting muscles weren't as sharp. Not to say I couldn't have done it, but they just weren't as sharp. So I was like, as far as an actor, I was like really ready.
Yes.
I was sharp. I was able to step. I had all my tools, and I was able to step into
Yeah.
character. I was able to speak as the director and get everyone set. And then I was able to step into it. And like I said, I don't know if I could do that now, but it was preparation. It was, I would say to any actor, work, work, and work. Just do it. Take a scene study class. Work on your craft. Do a play, no matter how big or small it is.
Hmm.
Like for me, doing theater in New York City, that's what made me an okay actor. I don't know. That's for other people to judge how my acting is. I don't know. It's okay. Maybe it's okay. Maybe it's not. I
It's
don't know.
good.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know.
good.
Okay. I got pretty good feedback on it, but I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not going to judge my acting. That's for other people to judge. But people, when I was doing the plays, I would finish a play, and then people would come up to me after and be like, "Hey, I have this other play. I
Yeah.
want you." And so, I mean, that's a positive sign. So I guess I was doing something right. But I would say just keep doing it, because like
Keep
I'll
doing
talk
the
to some
work.
actors and I'm like, what are you doing for your craft? Are you in a class? Nah, I'm not doing, I haven't done anything in a year or two.
Hmm.
I'm trying to go on auditions. If you're going on auditions, you should be doing some
Some
scene study class
training.
or
Yeah.
some training, or something, and I know it could be expensive, but just something.
Yeah.
Get with some friends and just work on some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do some improv, do something,
Yeah.
because I believe that it is a muscle. It is muscle memory.
Absolutely.
And there are certain tools that you could learn. I was studying at the Barrow Group at the time, and their claim to fame was, I think it was Anne Hathaway went there or something. But it was a really good acting school in New York City,
What was the name of it?
the Barrow Group,
Okay.
and they're really good. You have to audition to get into there, and I was doing scene study classes with them as well, and just I was really working on what I was doing in addition
Yeah.
to the plays. So I would just say that, like I think that's how I was able to pull that off. And
Okay.
I'm not so sure if I could right now because I have not been working that muscle.
Well,
I've
just
been
like you
writing. I've been doing
said,
a lot of writing.
it's a muscle.
It
So
is.
if you got back into it and you started actually reading the
Yeah.
script, you might you
Oh,
might
I
be
think I
you'll
can
be
do it.
back there. I
Yeah.
know. I
I'm
know.
kind of, I don't know. Sometimes I get the itch and then I kind of pull back.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to do something. And I'm like, I don't know. Because
Well,
like I'm getting older and then I'm like, I don't know. The wrinkles, I don't know. I don't know if anybody
no,
wants to see me on
the
camera.
wrinkles is where it's at.
Yeah, I don't know.
Listen,
I don't know if anybody wants to see me on camera anymore. I mean, maybe today, but
no, no. If you look at some of the greats doing it, they're all older. You have to be at a certain stage in your life to really
yeah,
be natural and portray, have those experiences.
yeah. Well, that's key,
Um,
natural, right? And
Natural.
like just free and easy. Like I'll always
Yeah.
say that to the actors. Like, don't hold on to anything. There's a great talking exercise you could do with an actor where you just let's have a conversation. Let's
Yeah.
talk. And find the voice that's a natural voice, because sometimes we'll put on a acting voice,
Yes.
and so if you could just find this voice and then slip into character is a
Yeah.
great. That's at the Barrow Group I was working on that, and
Yeah.
it's a great little tool that I use. I'll just get talking like this with an actor and I'll stay in that tone, and if you could just do that,
Yeah.
it's real.
Even when you said it sitting here, when you were like, if you just kind of just slip into that, immediately I started to feel a little easier
Yeah.
because it's very true.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah, and that's a
Uh,
big thing that a director. I'm a director who loves to work with actors, and maybe because I'm also an actor. Um, but like there are directors who will be like, "Get over here and stand
yeah.
here and just say it like this," and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't want that. Like I will say, how do you feel about it?
Yeah.
How do you connect to it? Because that's the most important part. Is if you're not connected to it, then the audience isn't going to be
That's
connected to
right.
it. So that's the key, and that's what I did with every actor. Was just we did these kind of exercises, talked about the characters and how they connected to the character, and that's the way in.
Yeah.
Find a way in.
Yeah. Well, you on the set of The Mommy's Box as well as The Refugee,
Yeah,
there were children on your set.
yeah.
So, before I talk about the children on your set, are you a father? Or do you have children real life?
I am a dad. I have two daughters, Kate and Layla. Kate just turned 8, and Layla's 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I have two young daughters. They're beautiful, and amazing wife, Lauren. And so I'm very lucky and happy in my family life. They're great. Love those kids and do anything for them and trying to teach them right, and
Yeah,
best I can. And there are good days and bad days, but we always try to lift each other up and communicate and
absolutely.
speak to each other and look each other in the eyes and yeah, so I am a dad, and I've been loving that. The other day I was just thinking of like I'm trying to stay focused on what's important to me in life, and it was like 4 things, right? And I was like family, you
Mm,
know, my work, my faith, right? And then I got to make money, right? And so like I'm trying to stay focused on these things to not just focus on one, right? Because we have to find our what's important to us, right?
yeah,
And so because it's easy to kind of go off the rails and
yeah,
and just focus on one thing, and then other things might suffer.
yeah,
So I always try to, like, if I'm with you, I'm focused on you right here and now. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not thinking about anything
yeah.
else. And then when I'm home with the kids, I'm focused on them and I'm looking at them and I'm not looking at my phone and I'm not. And so I try to be present, I guess is the is
Present.
the is what is the
Present is a
word there,
big,
right?
yeah.
And so um, that's important to me, is to always
Yeah.
be present, and wherever I am and whatever meeting I'm in. I think, um, anyone that knows me can attest to that, is that I'm with you.
Yeah.
When I'm with you, I'm with you. And then when I'm with someone else, I'm with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I think it's
Yeah.
important to
Mm-hmm.
be present.
Present. Present.
And so we do have a lot of distractions nowadays. It's
Yeah.
not easy, and so I do my best. I'm a work in progress, but
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that the other day. I'm reading The Alchemist now. Did you ever read that book, The
I have
Alchemist?
heard of that book
Yeah, it's a
before.
good book, and it's about appreciating where you are now, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's on my nightstand, um, and it's my second time reading it. I read it a few years ago, but anyway, yeah,
Yeah, well,
good book.
oh,
And The Four Agreements is another good book. The Four Agreements.
Four
Yeah,
Agreements.
yeah,
Okay.
I would recommend those books.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that in here too. What do you hope that your daughters take away from you as a father? Something that when they're adults and they have their own families, they can say, I got this from my dad, or I'm this way because my dad instilled this in me. What is that for you?
I would say to be respectful to others,
Hmm.
um, to be truthful, because there's nothing more important than your word. That's what I believe, and
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's all we have, really. Is because without that, then if there's no trust between us, then to me, there's nothing. It's
Yeah.
to form good relationships, to find good people to be around. Put yourself around good people. Be around good people. Try to help those that need help. If you can.
Yeah.
Those are some of the things that I'm trying to teach them now. Um, Take good care of yourself. Don't forget about yourself
Hmm.
and self care. That's another thing we forget about.
Yes.
Like we're always focused on other people and other things, and my wife is always getting me on track with that. She's like, but what about you? And I'm like,
Yeah.
forget about me. I have to do this and this and this and this. And she's like, no, 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 take some time for you.
Yeah.
So it's great. Yeah,
Well,
I would say some of those things.
we're like in a we're in like a self era right now. Self care, self love, self routine, selfies. Um, how does that impact your routine? Like are your friendships, how does that impact your friendships and just the way that you show up for others when this world and everybody is just always thinking about self? What do I need to do for me to be okay, my mental health and my needs? How do you balance that and your friendships, or are your friendships kind of at the top of that list for
Well, I
you
think
right
you
now?
just said it. I think that's perfect. I think balance is key, right? And so I think there is time for you to focus on yourself and take
Yeah.
care of yourself and do things for you. And I don't mean that in a way of like being self-absorbed or being all about me in a selfish way,
Hmm.
or taking a selfie. Like I'm not a selfie guy, but I mean it more in like drink the good water.
Yeah.
Go get a massage because you've been working hard. You know, uh, are you eating well? Like that kind of self-care.
Yeah.
Make sure you're in bed at 10 o'clock or something. Just something for you, for your physical wellness, for your mental wellness. um, I would say is key. But that doesn't mean that it's all about you. Be there for other people.
That
Who
translates, though, all
Yeah,
that
if
self-love
yeah,
translates.
if you're
Yeah.
strong, then you can make others strong.
Yeah.
If you're weak and in the hole, you're not going to help anybody.
That's right.
So get yourself right, get yourself strong, and then look. I try to touch base with my friends as much as I can. Life is busy. I could do better in that area.
Oh, me too.
I wish that, like whenever
Yeah.
someone calls me out of the blue, I'm like, oh my God, why has it been so long? Like that was the best conversation ever. And I'm like, oh God, I don't know why sometimes I'm like, I know I should do this and I don't do it.
Yeah.
And that I'm working on, and I could always get better at that. But um, yeah, I mean, it's just balance. It really
Balance.
is. It is. Call an old friend and just even send a text. Hey, how you doing? How's it going? Miss you.
Yeah.
And even with my family, like I feel like sometimes I'm alone a lot, and I'm okay being
I was gonna
alone.
say, do you like to be alone?
I'm okay being
Yeah,
alone.
yeah, I like
Yeah,
that
so like,
too.
yeah, like I'm like, I just, there are people that need to talk and need to, I I don't.
Yeah.
But when I do, I love to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always like, man, that was great. But
Absolutely.
sometimes I'm okay just by myself.
Yeah, I don't require many people either. So
Yeah.
speaking of that, let's talk about these kids.
Okay. Yes. Let's talk about the kids.
Kids,
Yeah.
kids on set.
I love it. I love working with
You like
kids.
working
I
with
do. I
kids.
do. I love it.
Okay.
I love it because I get down to their level and it's so
Yeah.
refreshing because they're so open to what I have to say, where adults might not be always,
Yeah.
Um, so it's nice to just there's just something so new about it all to them, and their energy is different,
Absolutely.
and I just love it, and I love watching. I love movies, and I love watching movies. And to me, any movie that has a kid in it, and if the kid's good, and usually they are, and I don't know, there's something about it that I just like. Like it's just there's an innocence about it. There's um, you know, like if you notice with the refugee Eva, for the first like I don't know, might be 8 minutes, she doesn't say a word.
Yes, I
And it's all
noticed
the just
that.
it's all expression.
How
And
did you create that for her? How did you help her do that? That is not easy.
I
Everything was all just on her face.
Yeah, it was. And for me, it's about connecting to her about things that she knows right now, right? So it's
Yeah.
just like a conversation.
Hmm.
Like, what makes you feel sad?
Yeah.
What makes you feel sad? And she'll say something, and I'll say, well, how do you if someone does that to you, then how does that make you feel? So I'm just trying to connect to the emotion,
Hmm.
and kids can connect to an emotion,
Yeah.
and it's not hard for them to do. And so that's all I do with the kids is just talk to them, whatever the scene calls for emotionally. What makes you happy?
Hmm.
What Oh, when I see my mom comes in from work, and I go, okay, so when this
Hmm.
scene, your mom comes in for work, and that's how you feel, and
That's what
and
you
they
put on
smile
their
right
face.
there, and so the emotion,
Yeah.
and just getting on their level, looking them in the eyes, talking to them about it,
Yeah.
getting them relaxed, letting them know this is, hey, come here, using the soft voice,
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, just making them feel comfortable, making their parents feel comfortable,
Absolutely.
um, letting them know if there's anything you need, just speak up and let us know. Don't feel like you can't say anything.
Hmm.
Um, Whatever you need, let us know. I always have someone checking in with them, to make sure they're good. I'll always check in with them to make sure they're good. And yeah, I mean that's really, I think the heart of that is just communication and connection to them and their
Yeah.
parents, just to make sure everyone's comfortable and good.
Well, I caught up with Elenis
Yeah.
at the film premiere, and when I spoke to her, she said that I asked her what was the best part for you, and what was sort of challenging for you, and she said that it was thinking about herself in a situation in a tough situation,
Yeah.
something that she could never imagine herself having to go through.
Yeah.
So she tapped into that.
She
She
did.
she said she tapped into it along with your help, and you must have really created a safe space. And I don't think people talk enough about how to create those safe spaces, not only for the actors or for the children, but for their families as well. Because if I'm in a situation and if I don't feel so great, my kids know it. They can tell. They can look
Yeah.
at my face,
Sure.
and it's like, nope, this is something is weird here.
The
But
energy they could feel
they
for
feel
sure.
it. They
Yeah.
feel it. So how do you create that safe set? You
Well,
know.
so with Alanis, we did have an intense scene with she was cut and the
Yes.
soldier was with her, and then she's fighting for her life, and so that was intense. That was an intense day, and I had her mom close by. I
Yeah.
wanted her right there next to me so that she could see her mom.
Yeah.
And once again, the communication. We were talking. We ran through it a few times, rehearsed it a few times, so that we can kind of be light with it
Yeah.
and laugh about it and say, okay, that's good. Try this. And then I just said, I was like, roll the cameras and let's not like make a big thing out of it.
Yeah.
And then I was talking her through some of that scene, right? So like, oh, just I'm off camera, and I'm saying, you take a swing, like,
Yeah.
and get angry. You want to fight this? You're fighting. You're fighting for it. Fight for it. And she was getting into it. She's like, yeah, and so she was intense.
Yeah.
So
She was.
yeah, and there was some. It's not easy,
Yeah.
It's not. And we found it and we got it.
Yeah.
And I was trying to be as cautious and gentle as I could. I didn't want to push her too much. But to get that, I had to get to as far as we can get, to do that. But and then cut, and then it was like, whoa, and then she realized what she did, and she was happy about it. And another good thing with kids is maybe you could show them what they did, and you could play back and show them what they did, and I think that's helpful with kids. I wouldn't do that with all actors because that can turn into, can I
Yeah.
see my performance? No, no, no. We
Yeah.
don't have all day. But just show the kid what they did, and I think that way they see it and they're like, oh, because
Yeah.
we did that. And she was like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get it. Okay.
And she got it.
Yeah. And so I think that helps too.
Yeah.
So, and the kid in mommy's box, he was great. But like after 4 hours, he'd start like,
Yeah. Especially when you have to
and
wait.
we were rolling,
Yeah.
and he's like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, I need you to sit up. And then in editing you could also do a little carving. You could just kind of find what you need. Another great thing that I always notice and see is that I'll roll the camera without making a big deal about it, and just talk to them off camera and like as if we're not rolling, and I'll get some great just reaction. They'll be very natural. Even with adult actors I do this, because sometimes people tighten up a little bit, action, and it's like, so
Mhm.
anyway,
Yeah.
it's like, what is that face?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I'll just take shots that they don't even, like it's just a reaction shot and they're
Yeah.
very natural. um Sometimes that's a little trick too that you can do
That's a
in
good
editing.
one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I'm sure some people are going to
Yeah,
use
loosen
that.
up everybody.
Yes. Yes. Well, I have a very serious question for you.
Okay.
But what are your hobbies? What do you like to do
Oof.
when you're
So
not working?
I
How do you
know
decompress?
I know well, there's a pool in my community. Sometimes, once in a while, I'll go there. I like to ride my bike around. Riding my bike is therapeutic for me. So I'll get on my bicycle, um, and there's this nice lake in my community with a path around it, and I do dig the nature. I do love these live oak trees that you all have here in Florida,
Yes.
and I could just pull over. I look at the wildlife. I check out the gators. Um, and just like I'll put my hand on that tree for a minute and I'm just like woof, and then I get back on my bike and I go. So I don't know, don't call me a tree hugger, but I like to connect with nature if I can
That's
in any way.
beautiful. Yeah.
There are some beautiful trails. There's one in Winter Garden that I like to go to, a park that sometimes if I'm just feeling a little heavy, I'll just go by myself and I'll walk through this like wildlife preserve. And
Yeah.
one time I got scared because like I heard something rustling in the bush and I was like, I'm out of here.
I won't do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
I don't know what the heck.
Me
Yeah,
too.
I've seen some things, some
And you can
snakes and
hear,
things.
you can like
I
hear
know.
the weight of whatever it is. It's like, no,
Yes,
no,
I'm
this
like,
is
oh my God, what did I do?
Yeah.
But anyway, I try to
Yeah.
tap into nature if I can, um, and like if I can once or twice a year. I used to like enjoy going golfing, just being out on the golf course, and I'm not that good, but it was fun to do. I did with some friends,
Yeah.
just to keep active. Yeah, it's just some of those things I'll do. Just nature is nice. If I can get, I'll just go sit in my backyard and just sit in the grass and get a little sun for 10 minutes.
It's nice.
Um, that's really, yeah, that's what I like
And
to
it's
do.
free. Nature
It's
is
free.
free.
I
You
know
can
it doesn't
it's
cost
put
much.
here for you to enjoy
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, I
So
like it.
that's
Oh, and the
good.
farmers market
Oh,
in
okay.
Winter Garden, downtown Winter Garden, every Saturday is the most amazing farmers market. It's
Hmm.
beautiful, and I go with my wife and daughters. We go as a family, and it's beautiful. And they have live music playing there. Trey Jones plays there, and I met him there at the farmers market, and we became friendly and good friends. And
Nice.
he wrote 2 songs that are in the Refugee.
Okay. I there was a very distinct song. I think I may know which one you're
Yeah,
talking about.
there were
That's
two.
really
Yeah.
cool. Really cool.
Yeah. So I mean, just like talk about meeting
Yeah.
people and just getting to know people. It goes back to when you open yourself up.
Yes.
Um, things will come to you.
Which you learned from Francis.
I certainly did. Yeah, I certainly did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question is just sort of on the filmmaking side. Um, as an actor, you know that the films and everything that you do is supposed to be about the art of it. Now that you're a seasoned filmmaker, how does all of the other side of it impact you? The budget, the production costs, managing people, the box office. How does that affect how you actually are creating your movie?
Yeah, it does. So I'm writing a script now, and I try not to, when I'm at the point of when I'm starting a story or starting to write something, I don't want to put any restrictions on myself. And so I
Absolutely.
try to just write freely and create the story. And then once something is there and it's good, then look at the numbers and see what we can do, and then shape it to fit that, right?
Hmm.
So, um, like for example, with the Refugee, we about a third of the movie is in that theater space, and they're in that theater doing and so we rented that location for 4 days, and we shot 40 pages in 4 days. The film itself is 100 pages.
Yeah.
So that's a way to
Yeah.
save money, right? And once again, we were able to do it because my experience of pre-production meetings, working with the actors. So because we were so prepared, we were able to do so many pages. I would never recommend doing 10 pages a day. That's a lot. That's a big undertaking, and to make it quality is hard. So that's something to consider.
Hmm.
As far as budgetary and Hollywood, look, I've lived in Hollywood. Um, I've been repped at a big agency. I was repped at ICM for many years. I've been out to big actors. I've had projects out to big actors, big named actors. It's tough to have someone say, "Here's a check for $2 million to
Hmm.
make your movie," right? And so I'm working on that. I'm always working on that, but I can't sit and wait for that. And so I go to the grind, and I try to raise a few bucks here, a few bucks there, something that I know that I can get some friends who have the gear, and I
Hmm.
know a lot of great actors, and then I just try to get it done.
Yeah.
And so while I'm getting it done, I still have my eye on those $2 million big budget. Like we're doing two things here.
Yeah.
Because I have some scripts that I've written that are bigger budget scripts, but I can't just sit and wait for it to possibly happen.
Absolutely.
So I take the initiative, and I write these indie films that can be done, for under 200K, let's just say. I have some good connections with where I can get some money to do that. And I'm working on those bigger connections. I'm not going to stop doing that. I don't like making movies like this, because I want to pay everyone their proper wage. I'd like to pay myself a proper wage,
Yeah.
but it's that or nothing.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I have a sickness.
Do what you
I
what-
can't not do it. I just like it's like a curse or something. Like every time I'm like, I'm done. This is my last movie.
no.
I'm like, then like a week later, I'm like, okay, so what are we doing? Let's do it. I'm
No.
like mental or something. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Am I crazy? Like, I should be the CEO of some big corporation right now if I wasn't crazy about making movies. But because I'm putting all my energy into this.
Yeah.
So I've sacrificed a lot, I'll say, in my life,
Absolutely.
to do this. And I'm at the point in my life where I'm like, whatever, like it is what it is. I'm doing it. I like it. I like the movies. I'm happy with it, and I'm gonna keep doing it.
That's
So
amazing.
that's
That's
that.
amazing.
Yeah,
A lot of people can relate to that.
yeah,
Definitely creatives, trying to break the mold, trying to do things that they may or may not have a blueprint for.
yeah,
But you gotta just keep doing it. Keep
yeah.
putting yourself into the art because it's not gonna let you sleep. It's not going
No, that's
anywhere.
right.
So you have to keep
That's right.
doing
And
it.
if like people say, "Oh, Johnny, but you have some money," and I said, "Well, for Mommy's Box, I raised money on Kickstarter."
Yeah.
So I did a crowdfunding campaign. I raised $25,000 on
Very
there.
nice.
I know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there are ways that you can do something. And then if you can't, take your iPhone and shoot something.
Do
You know, in
something.
this day and
That's
age, there's
right.
no excuse.
That's right.
It all comes down to good writing. So we have all the tools we
Well,
need.
that's good. Yeah.
There are editing systems. Everyone has a camera. It's the writing. It's the writing. It's the writing. Write a great story. Write something that you can relate to. Write something that's personal to you. See, I started with personal stories, and as I'm moving out, there's still something personal about them, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not as personal. It's just because I was just shaping what I'm doing with something personal because it means something to me. I think it's an easier way to write because to start writing is because it's there, you
Yeah.
know, and so that's what I would
It's
say
your real
to
life
yeah,
experiences.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Start with something personal and just shoot a short. Make a short,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
Here in town, there's what OIF is a great, you
Yeah.
know, like they have these short film competitions. Why not? You can go do that.
Yeah.
Not much money.
Yeah.
So I think it's an amazing time. I think for people who want to make movies and do film work. It's an amazing
That's
time.
good.
Back in the day, it was actual film, 16 millimeter film.
Oh
You know, nobody could
gosh.
afford to do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like
Yeah.
so, like it was only just a select few who could make movies.
Yeah.
Now anybody could do it.
Mm-hmm.
So and I'm excited about that. Like let's see, bring it. Let's see what you could
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. But everybody can't do it like you. Everybody, nobody is you. So that's what makes all of us creatives
Yes,
so special because nobody's you.
that's
Nobody's going to
right.
bring that story out like you can.
That's exactly
So,
right.
so with
Yes.
that being said, what is next for Johnny Greenlaw?
Well, so we just some really great and exciting news for the Refugee. We got into the Manhattan
Yes.
Film Festival in New York City, and just found out yesterday that we're up for Best Picture there and Best Screenplay. So Best Feature Screenplay, which is that excites me. Um,
All about the writing.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was happy to see that and hear about that. That really it was nice. And then we're going to screen at the Golden Door International Film Festival, which is in Jersey City that same week. So we're going to be in the New York, New Jersey area for like 4 or 5 days with screenings, parties, events, award shows. So that's going to be a fun time. That's in
Yeah.
June, June 23rd. Is the screening in Manhattan, and June 20th to the 22nd will be the Golden Door Film Festival. So that's coming up. We're excited about that.
Absolutely.
And I have a new project that I'm writing now with a very talented writer, Stanley. You know Stanley, who did Crocodilus. So he did this. So I wrote a script, and it was very thriller, drama like, and I want to do something different from the drama. I've been doing drama, 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 and that's definitely my sweet spot. I want to do something different for this next one. So I'm looking to kind of step out of the box and challenge myself a little bit more.
Okay.
And so I'm doing a dark comedy. And so I wrote this script and it
Oh,
wasn't
dark
comedy
comedy.
enough.
Yes.
And so Stanley writes like really great comedy, kind of
Mm-hmm.
wacky comedy, and he and I become good friends. I said, "Hey, take a look at this script." And he goes, "Oh yeah, I can, you know, I can definitely like I see some funny moments and things." And so he and I took the whole thing apart. We rewrote it and working on it together. And now it's definitely funnier. And I will put my part into it to make it a little more darker and dramatic. And he has got some silly, funny moments in it that'll really play nice, like Coen Brothers type movie where it's
Yeah.
like kind of off the wall, dark comedy. Um, with artificial intelligence theme to it, so it's kind of
Oh,
like I
wow.
want to be present thematically, you know, and kind of stay in that zeitgeist type, you know. So it's all about artificial intelligence. So
Mm-hmm.
there's some of that in this movie, and we're going to be shooting it in early 2025 right here in Orlando.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Very nice.
yeah, yeah. So
You
we're
know,
coming back to Orlando. We're staying in Orlando.
bringing it
The
back.
film community in Orlando is amazing,
Yes.
and I'm excited to lift and raise the film community up all I can and support other filmmakers here
Absolutely.
because it's amazing. It is like coming from New York and LA, there was no drop off in talent here in
Yeah.
Orlando. So I'm excited. I'm stoked. We have a great team here and that we're building of good people
Yeah.
who are talented. And so
Like-minded.
like-minded, yeah, and
Yeah.
that's key, you know, right? So it's like good people first, and then they have to have some talent, right?
Yes.
So not talented people, and then who,
Yeah.
whatever. It's you know good people, and so I'm excited to make another film here with a lot of the same people that were on The Refugee. So
Yeah.
more to come.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, one more question for you, okay?
Sure.
One more question for you. Thinking about AI, you mentioned AI. What are your thoughts on what's happening with AI? Because to me, it's not really my thing. I'm gonna just say it.
Not
It's
my
not
thing.
my
Mm.
thing. I like to, because I'm an actor, I like to feel what people are saying. I just don't get that.
Yeah.
And people can create something so special that AI doesn't. So I don't know if I'll ever be okay with it. But what are your thoughts on AI and what's happening with the next generation?
So I have mixed feelings on AI. Like you, I'm not really into it. Not like I don't really use it.
Yeah,
Um, I could see how it could be it's a tool. It should be a tool.
yeah,
It shouldn't be like, hey, I'm a writer, but I'm going to put all these prompts into ChatGPT and let that do the writing for me. That's not writing to
yeah.
me. So I think it's coming, whether we want it or not. It's being foisted upon us.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would be beneficial for us to at least know a little bit about it and learn a little bit about it
Mm-hmm.
because you don't want to get left behind because it's coming.
Yeah,
I don't want it either, but it's coming.
it's coming.
So like
Right.
I'm like, okay, how can I use this as a tool?
Yeah.
And so um, it goes back to using your voice, right? Like you are you and you are unique. I am me, right? And so what value do I bring that is going to separate us from the pack? And so as long as everybody who wants to create stays true and finds their voice and puts that into everything they do, you'll be okay. If you don't do that and you're just relying on these tools, you're not gonna do much. I don't think. I inject your voice into it. If you
Yeah.
put something into
Yeah.
ChatGPT that you want to shoot, at least rewrite it into shape it into something that's meaningful to you.
Serious.
So that's that side of it.
Yeah.
But the other side of it, where I did use it as a tool in the Refugee, was there's a scene where we needed an image that's going to be projected on a screen, where it looks like it's a refugee camp in the Middle East.
Okay.
And so we were looking all over Google and images and all that, and I couldn't find the right image. And so we went into one of the AI programs and we put the prompts in, and we were able to get an image that was perfect for what we needed. And we had the rights to it because we
Yeah.
created it. And I was able to use that image as just an image that was on the screen from, if you remember when I wanted to kind of like make the audience think, are we in a refugee camp or not? And then you reveal that they're in the theater,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it's that shot where we're coming in and
Yeah.
then and it pulls out, the camera pulls back and you see them in there, but the background is of like it's a refugee camp. It's
Yeah.
tents and there's a fence and that was an AI generated image. And so we did use it for that.
That's what makes you think twice about AI
Right.
right there.
So
Yeah.
it's a tool. So like
Yeah.
if you just look at it like, you're building a house, it's a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the schematics, right? Like that takes an architect and design and artistry, um, not just not just typing it into. So I
Mm-hmm.
think if we could find a balance once again of where we can use those tools to benefit the work we're doing, that's great. But we shouldn't rely on those tools,
Mm-hmm.
is I think, is how I feel about it.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. It takes some getting used to for
It
sure.
does, yeah.
So that concludes our conversation. Johnny, thank you
Thank
so,
you,
so
Gabby.
much for meeting with me. I want you to know everything you were saying. Like, people are going to see this, but that's all for me. I was literally sitting here taking in every word that you said. And I'm so grateful for you to come and sit down and talk with me.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
I can't wait to hear more and see more about what you're doing with Refugee. I hope it just skyrockets and it surprises you, and Orlando surprises you, and
Yeah,
you get so much more than what you thought. This is an amazing place to be at with your family. I lived in New York too, so I know this is how you do life right
yeah,
here.
yeah.
So, best of luck to you and your family and the team that you're building, the team that you have. Best of luck to you guys and everything that y'all are doing.
Thank you.
All
We
right.
appreciate it.
All right. So, again, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.